Hi class. This week we had the assignment of going through the ProQuest research database to find newspaper articles on significant events in American history, or international history for that matter. I chose something that may not seem very significant for us in our day, but for the people who lived in it, it was a very, very significant moment. And it was in regards to the unknown soldier. After the First World War, many of the Allied nations, such as France and Great Britain, wanted to commemorate the sacrifice that their, not just the soldiers, but all of their citizens of their nations had to endure during the First World War. So they had these ceremonies, and back then many soldiers signed up, and their identities were either they used different names to try to enlist if they were underage, or their remains were never identified. So there were many unknown soldiers that they could choose from, to not let one individual receive the whole credit for it, but in order for the whole nation to be able to mourn and their losses as a whole. And so this idea was not originally adopted by the United States, but there was one article that I discovered from the New York Times that came out on March 6, 1921, and it was the heading was entitled "Honor Unknown Soldier." And this was 2 days after President Wilson's term was over, but before he left office, he gave permission for the United States to give the Congressional Medal of Honor to both the French and the British unknown soldiers of the First World War. So that article is talking about that. You fast forward to October 16, 1921, and the Observer newspaper came out with an article of General John Pershing, who is the leader of the United States forces in World War I. He had traveled to Great Britain, where they were having their ceremony of their unknown soldier with Prime Minister Lloyd George, and how Pershing was there and laid the Medal of Honor on the casket of that British soldier. And only less than a month later is when the United States would have its ceremony of our unknown soldier from World War I. How this soldier's body was transported from France to Washington, D.C., and their body was on display in the rotunda of the Capitol, and then was laid to rest in Arlington National Cemetery, where it still is to this day. And the Manchester Guardian on November 12th, 1921 was detailing that ceremony, and how then President Harding was the main speaker at that ceremony. And I would relay all these facts to the World War I Historical Association, and one other good source that details some of this was this book right here, The Unknowns, especially the last few chapters of his work, because much of the information about that ceremony came from newspaper articles. Thank you so much.